Good evening, good evening. Happy Wednesday, everybody. So yes, I know it's not cold here, but I'm wearing a hoodie because I am trying. I know y'all see probably pick on my child. He'll leave the house in 200-degree heat with a dang on hoodie on. I do not understand it. I don't know what's wrong with these kids, but I'm trying to will this Florida weather to get fallish. Because y'all know, once these kids go back to school, it's Christmas. And it be still 80 degrees here. And I'm not for the foolishness. I know Dayna is like, hush your mouth, because Michigan does not play with that ridiculous cold weather.
I'm like, what you talking about? It's cool here. but we still try to be up in the pool and everything.
Like I got to witness that firsthand. It was beautifully warm, and then all of a sudden it started snowing and was like 30. I was like, oh, get me on the plane. I'm not prepared, y'all. I am not prepared. But that's what I'm doing. So don't judge me. I'm trying to get the weather to be like, oh, what's going on down there? To switch it up so we can actually have some cool weather, because this heat is not it. All right. So today we're kind of breaking from the norm to do a back to school special. I think that by this point, a lot of us are in, either in that back to school mode, you're kind of finalizing all the things. If you have little ones starting school for the very first time, you're getting ready for after Labor Day. But one of the big things that I know as a parent that is huge, switching from, especially if you've had those 2.5 months or whatever it is, break where the kids have kind of policed themselves or whatever, is adjusting to new routines. And I know that it's like, okay, we're talking about biz. Well, first of all, this can be applied to businesses too, right? We've seen firsthand back when we had the pandemic that you had to adjust, and that gave you a new routine. And that happens all the time with the ebb and flow. So this will be beneficial not only for mamas and papas and everybody watching this, getting kids ready for back to school, but also when you have to switch something up in your business. So y'all, grab a drink, grab a friend, grab a husband, a partner, whatever, share away, and let's get into this. So back to school, adjusting to new routines. Ladies, what is that like for you?
I have not adjusted yet. I have not. And I feel like did anybody else, because I'm already back at school, been back at school since the beginning of August. Did anybody make their kids practice going to sleep early? Because I did. 2 weeks before I had to go back to work because I needed them in the bed. And that's how we practice adjusting to our new schedule that's about to come around. I mean, I treat the new school year like it's New Year's. All right. Different routine, but we're doing the same thing we did. And you're going to practice going to sleep by 8 o'clock.
So I talked about this. I think I asked my peoples, like, look, I need other routines to add into place. What do y'all do to get ready for back to school? Because the only thing I seem to focus on every single year, y'all, is y'all better get y'all butt to sleep. Because first of all, my youngest goes to a school in our neighborhood. So that means like dealing with not only people going to work traffic, but Floridians cannot drive. So yes, it includes a neighborhood. And I hate being late because I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. So that normally means that I get up in workout clothes. My hair is, yes, exactly how I woke up. And I'm not getting out this car to walk you into the office. You'll be missing school. So I'm like, we got to get out and get in. But I do the same thing. Usually about 3 weeks out, I start being like that repetitive drum. It's time to go to bed, brush your teeth, are you washed? Like, all the things, getting them prepared so they don't get annoyed when it comes the actual school week. And then I transition to the stricter and the getting up early, because I think it's not so much the falling asleep, because I always feel like, well, if you ain't ready after that first full week of school, the kids are going to be so exhausted, they're going to be in bed by 6 o'clock anyway, because they done been drained by all the new routines that they're getting into. It's the getting up. It's the dragging butt when I'm like, did I not just ask you to do? And nobody wants to start their mornings that way. So that is definitely what I have. It's something that I put a lot of stock into, because sleep is a big thing. If kids are not sleeping, they're not focused at school. It's a whole big issue. And it makes an issue for my life in the mornings, and I feel like my whole day is ruined. Dana's making faces because her kids are homeschooled.
Shout
out to all the homeschool parents out there. But I do think that I always, start with when it comes to homeschooling. Homeschooling looks very, very different for like so many different families. So for some of you homeschool parents, a lot of what they're talking about makes sense. Yeah, our routine is a little bit different because my kids still wake up when they want to wake up. And they start their school when they want to start their school. Um, but the biggest thing I will say, even this season, adjusting is so for the most part, up until this school year, my kids were not in a program where they only had one or two classes where they were in a program and it was like maybe once a week where they had to log in with a teacher. So this year is the first adjustment where they actually do have to have a scheduled time where they need to be on something with other students and a teacher and things like that. Normally, most of their little stuff was more on demand. So again, they could watch it whenever they wanted to. They could go back and those type of things. So I did have to adjust them to being like, okay, actually, you need to log in at 9 a.m. So you do need to not sleep till noon in order to go ahead and get on. But I do feel like, regardless, I think those are good, like, because I feel like when we talk back to school and we talk our children, we're actually training them for real life, right? Like they're probably going to have like maybe a 9 to 5 job, but even if they don't have a 9 to 5 job, they have some type of entrepreneurship. You got to be somewhere at a certain time, right? Like even in entrepreneurship, even if you make your own schedule, like you still have to show up for clients or you have to show up at a certain period of time. And it's always interesting to me too, because like I joke because it's like you left your 40-hour week at your job to work like 80 in entrepreneurship, right? Like, so like, you do need to train your kids and adjust to those type of things. But I would say for me, I appreciate the routine a little bit more. I don't feel like I have to find things for my kids to do as much. Since other kids is back in school, I ain't got to run around all the time now from this party to this sleepover to this and that and the other. I'm like, yes, y'all busy, we busy. We'll see y'all next year. I don't know. Like, I love the like fall, like let's fall into fall, right? And the new adjustments and the new routines because to me it clears my head. It to me it like opens up more space where like, oh, I got more time to focus on my business. I got more time to focus on some of these other things because I ain't got to occupy these children. I ain't got to find something for them to do as much. But that also means other activities start up, right? So like swim and for Ayla when it comes to her theater and Dayton with his robotics. And so now I'm driving everywhere. Right. So that's a new routine. But I do like it because I feel like it's a little bit more structured. And I feel like I thrive more in the structure than I do elsewhere.
I was gonna say it's unique for me because I've always been somebody, and I know somebody like, well, you probably got da da da. We're not diagnosing, okay? But I hated being put in a box. Structure to me meant a box. Like I couldn't do Tameka isms inside this box. So nope, I'm not doing it. But running a business and having kids that go to school, whether it's inside the home, inside the home, I can't even imagine it. Because during the pandemic, it was like, this something gotta give. Like this ain't working. This homeschool thing, I couldn't hack it. Like that's the truth that I had to live with. But it gave me that same feeling that Dayna's talking about. I actually love, like, I actually really, I'm gonna say love because it kind of is like, okay, well, shoot, I get to see that my day is completely done. I'm looking at 6 o'clock, like, you know what, in about an hour and a half, I'm gonna be tired. So, no, we're not going. But I do thrive. I love that word because it's true. I do thrive having that kind of structure because, like Dayna's saying, where I can fit this in, where I can do the things. And like summertime, where you're like, we're gonna be on vacation, so we'll just do all the things, and then you're exhausted, and you're like, oh, when the school start? Like this year, I didn't feel that way. Like, partially because my oldest is a senior, so he keeps speaking about this. It's my first day of school, and I'm like, can we chill? Can we just? But it's like I don't feel that pressure. Like I need them to go and get out of the house and be on somebody else's time so I can decompress because I've gotten so good at being inside this like A, B, C, D and fitting things in that there's so much less chaos. And I don't think I've ever felt more prepared for a school year than I have this 23-24 season, because I've honed those, like we're saying, those routines. And I've also given myself grace, knowing where I lack and where I'm going to have those moments where, like, listen, y'all better back up because it's about to get real. But I can, you can stave those off more because you have your routines. Like, how does everybody do lunches? Because this was a huge thing for me. And I've already seen like 2 mamas constantly asking, like, what are fail-proof lunches? Like, we're already struggling with the lunch system. People's kids here that take lunches to school, like lunch boxes, don't buy cafeteria lunch because y'all don't count. Like, what do you do? Do you do morning, night before? Do you do morning of? Do you create a menu? Do you just stand at the fridge and say, that sounds good, they'll eat that? How are you handling like packed lunches? I would really love to hear that in the comments, because that was a hard one for me too.
I'll say for me, because I'm starting that this year, I plan on doing menus, and they taking their lunch. If they don't like it, they just gonna starve until they get home. But anyway, if anybody is out there, because these 2 lovely ladies don't have the luxury of my struggle, going back to work, because I am a teacher, but I also run a business. Those of you that run businesses on your own and then work outside of the home, how are you? I know y'all don't like this word. How do y'all balance that? Because I struggle with this every school year, and I opened my business during the pandemic. So being at home with my kids, it was like, ooh, they can go over there and do their schoolwork, and I can be over here talking to my people. Well, now that we're back in school for like 3 school years now, it's been a struggle, and I have not come up with a solution yet. So I know y'all probably don't have nothing for me, but in the comments, let me know. Like, should I just put myself out there just on weekends when I have that free time? Only accept clients on the major breaks? I don't know. Somebody help me out.
I mean, since you don't really want me to answer this question, but I'll answer the question. And I think this is with anything, because whether it's a job, whether it's whatever you have going on in your life, to me, the busier my schedule is, I feel the more focused I am, because I know that I ain't got time to lollygag. I ain't got time. Look, do you want an appointment or do you not want an appointment? Because if you don't show up for the appointment, this is the only hour I have. So if you really, really want to know about what I'm doing, like, you got to book this little slot and you got to show up. Otherwise, I can't take you for a whole nother week, or I can't take you for another 2 weeks, right? Because I only have this block. So, and I think one of, I went to a session not too long ago, and it was all about time blocking. And I think that's going to be a powerful tool, because you can really prioritize. And I honestly believe, even with your time blocking, especially having a busy schedule, especially working full time, you need to even block out time for you. Block out time for self-care, block out time for quiet, block out time for study, or whatever you need in that little portion. And then you will see where you actually have space to build your business. But I promise you, like, some of the most successful business, like, people, they grew in that little blocks of time. That's because that put fuel and fire under them, because they was going to a job every day and they're like, I want to be here. So, okay, I only got an hour and a half when I get home in between, like, my daughter's at dance and my son is at this or whatever. So this is the only time I'm taking calls. I'm doing my Zooms from the car. I'm doing, like, because this is it. Like, or every Monday, I just bulk it in this one little portion. I would be careful about, I mean, to each his own. I'd be careful about only blocking up my weekends for certain things, because you don't want to miss out on family time. You don't want to miss out. Like, some of the reason you're doing what you're doing is so you can spend more time with your family. So does it make sense to sacrifice your family in order to be with your family? Like, that doesn't make, that never computed to me. So I personally would just say, hey, all I got is 2 hours on this one day. So this is where I block it up. This is where you schedule. This is where you can access me. And maybe once a month you block that just for content or whatever, instead of actually taking people, adjusting it to really fit your own schedule or who you are.
I think at first I was like, I can't answer this. I don't know how to help you. But but I think to speak to your other business, because obviously being a doula, there is a hands-on aspect to this, right? Like you can't, there are appointments that you take, right? Very little understanding of the process. There are appointments throughout that entire pregnancy, depending on what service they've hired you for. And then if you're there for the actual birth, which if they've had this whole 9 month plus experience with you, they're gonna want you around. Like you can't control that piece, right? But I think this would be perfect because, like again, like I mentioned in the beginning, all this stuff can be wrapped up in business. Going back to school, it would behoove you. Like I know we've talked in messages, like this is where your priority lists are going to be huge, and sitting down and on a Sunday evening, like whatever day for you signifies the start of a week, or maybe Saturday evening, you sit down and you say, this is what I have, for the week. If you want to, if that's like how you, because I take about 2 weeks and look at it, if I say 30 days or whatever, however many days are in the month, that gets too much for me. But if you can do a month, you can sit down at the end of every month. So like there's 31 days in August. If you sat down on the 25th and said, okay, this is what does September look like for me? You get yourself a big, acrylic schedule, I don't know, whatever you need, and put out all your time. Like, what do I have? I know you have dance and you're busy. You, like you said, you have a regular outside job. Plus you have, your young living business can be done in serious pockets, like Dayna's saying, with this content online. But with your doula, like, where do you have the space, right? What is unnegotiable? Like, I need to get me time in here. Is there like a 30-minute window when you're at school teaching that you can say, this is where I'm turning the lights off, locking the door, and I'm doing some breathing techniques or some yoga poses or whatever. But like Dayna's saying, that rigorous schedule, if you can see it lined out, you can see where, oh, you know what, I can take on 2 doula clients and I can fit their, as long as it works with their schedule. So you might have to be a little, picky, and I don't know how that works in that area, but I can, however long your appointments are, I can do them on these evenings, because most of your clients, they may work. So if they work during the day, unless they can pull a weekend, which if that's non-negotiable for you, then you just say, I don't do weekends, but they're going to work. So they're probably going to want to see you at night. That would be convenient for them versus missing time at work, or whatever the case may be. But then you can see. And then when you're ready, like when you've kind of gotten, like, this is the norm for us, or every month you're going on the 25th, you're sitting down and you're pulling the next month out and you're saying, this month, this is where I have the time. Can you do these, these appointments on these days? Like Dayna's saying, I got an hour. Either this works for you or it doesn't work for you. And then it is what it is. You're going to pull in your time. I know you guys have like Honeybook and all those things, and they can see like what's working. But if you can see where your time is, then where you have time to dedicate on, your other things that are trying to get you out or in a better position with your full-time job. Plus you're not compromising the things that are important to you, and you can see where you can, to answer your question, how you can actually still have doula clients, run your young living business, take care of yourself, your family, and still be there for your full-time job without, because I know just saying that was like, oh, child, I'm tired. This is enough. We'll talk to y'all later. But at least you can see it. And that's why I said, like what Dayna was saying, this is why I started to like hugely thrive, and not only in my health, but just in all aspects. Because when you can see that, it's not so overwhelming to be like, I can't do it, I don't have time. And like you were suggesting, I have to wait till Thanksgiving and then throw it all in Thanksgiving week. And then you too tired to watch football, boo the Lions and everything else. You too tired to do all that because you didn't actually get that Thanksgiving break to be with your family, to just, so that would be my suggestion to you and to anybody who feels like, how do I do all this with all the things when time is, very tight? How do I fit all this in? To take the day, even for school routines, sit down. What do your kids have? Are your kids seriously busy? Fill it all in. Where do I have time to do the things? Pick a day. Yes, it's monotonous at first and you hate it, but when you start to feel that like, oh, I feel so free, you'll just fall right into it. Trust me, I hated it, but it's so good.
I will never be too tired to cheer on my Lions.
one season we're gonna not be like, ugh, change this one.
Look, I always joke that being a Lions fan, it's like being in an abusive relationship. Each year they tell us, we're going to be different. We're not going to hurt you anymore. And then it shows up. But anywho, we got this. I'm all for my Lions. The other thing I did want to just say with back to school routines and adjusting to new routines, I think it's super, super important to have very, very open lines of communication and expectations. Sometimes we fail to plan and then we plan to fail, right? Like, so sometimes it's like, okay, y'all, I got this, and you know your schedule, right? And then them kids get home and they like, where's dinner? And your husband like, where's dinner? And you like, what you mean? I did all of this all day. You should have cooked. And everybody looking at it, well, I did all this all day. You should have cooked, right? And so at least if we have a whole open line of communication, like, so there's through Google calendars or whatever, like there's certain things that I will share with my husband and I will share with my daughter. My son is only 9, so he doesn't really have like necessarily a whole life that he needs to adjust to. So that way they can add it to their calendars too. So it's not like they don't know that mommy had appointments here or had certain things here. And then we also have like a community calendar, where on the community calendar, it's like, we know that we're going to do our family Bible study on this night at this time or whatever. So everybody can show up and everybody can be, it's not a surprise. Or if you know that mommy has appointments from here to here to here to here to here, then my husband knows, okay, I'm going to have to step in after I get off work to make food. And I know Andriana with AJ being a cook, you know what I mean? Like you already know that you have like the skills out there, but you might just have to communicate to him like, hey babe, like I'm gonna need you to do, I don't know, he might do dinner every night, but whatever it is, like just so he's aware, or or he's clear, or the kids know that, okay, daddy gonna make dinner, so stop asking me, right? Or daddy gonna make dinner, so don't come to me for snacks. We don't have to worry about this in between because he's going to take care of dinner, or he's going to, so everybody knows and everybody's on the same page. And so that way I feel like it alleviates some of the frustration. Obviously not everything always goes as planned. You can plan as much as you want and things don't work out right. But sometimes you're picking up the kid versus I'm picking up the kid, or whatever that might be. I do feel like that can free up some of your mental space and free up some of your time, where now you can put in and schedule some stuff that can work around your business. And for me, a lot of times I incorporate my family into my business, right? Like, it's funny, me and my husband were just talking about this a couple weeks ago, where my vision and my dream, and I think Tameka, we talked about this or whatever too, like I would love, like, me and my husband do all of these things, like, because I love his creativity, I love all of his talents, and I'm just like, we would be like the power couple, super, we could do this and work together and da 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 da. And then he looks at me every time I'm like, we should work together, and he's like, no, we should not, but okay. Like, he'll do some stuff for me or with me or whatever, but it's like I get like with certain personality clashes, he struggles or I struggle. Like, he's very much a rebel. Like, even in his position now, he is the journeyman. So he takes the lead in prints and things like that. Like, his boss basically just comes in as like, hey, did it get done? Okay, cool. Right. Like, so he thrives when he can create and do his thing. Right. So if other people have, even if it's, constructive criticism, he has a hard time with that. Right. So knowing those type of things about your partner or your spouse or whatever, that, and even your kids, because sometimes I'll have some frustrating conversations with the kids or whatever, but it'll just make adjusting to these new routines or this back to season era just a little bit easier, because everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows. And even if they get frustrated and they're like, well, I don't want to clean the bathroom, well, it's on the board and it's your turn. So like, you know what I mean? They can't really fight with you as much.
Yeah, I think that's really good, because communication is big. That has been like apart, like relationship wise, if you have a partner, a husband, wife, whatever in your home. I think that's a big deal. That has helped us be like, look, I need you to do this because I need you to grab him, because I'm not going to make it, or whatever the case may be. Plus, there's nothing worse than being in the throes of overwhelm and hearing what's for dinner. I think that just automatically sends you to like, did you just speak to me? Because it's like not happening. Andriana, I saw you unmute yourself, so I'll let you say what you want to say.
No, I was just gonna say, that comes from having boundaries, and y'all know I'm struggling with it. I don't have boundaries when it comes to my kids, so they come and ask me, "Hey, what's for dinner?" And okay, yeah, Daddy's supposed to cook, but let me get you a little snack while we wait, because yeah, and then I get thrown off what I was doing at first. So that's a struggle, but we gonna get it. I'll get it together.
See, but you
New
have
year, new me.
boundaries, you just don't communicate them. So that communication piece applies to you. Like, you just have to say them. Like, even if I think Kicks got me for Mother's Day, they made at school like this coupon book. So I'm like, I'm gonna tape the coupon that I'm using for the day on my chest, on the door, like what is the situation? Because we've conditioned our kids to um not be cognizant of mom's time, right? Because when they're younger, we do all the things. Like, they don't have to speak to us because we just innately know they want that Fruit Loop or whatever you're giving your kid, right? Like, they want the applesauce, or they need this juice, so they're ready to eat. Like, then they just, through no fault of their own, it's our own fault, right? We didn't just throw them out and say, figure it out. So it just communication, like Dayna said, you have to be able to tell them, look, I'm in this space, and it feels hard, but it's beneficial.
All your kids big enough to make their own doggone snacks. Okay. You ain't got no babies no more. You better put them snacks on a shelf that's low enough for them to get to. I have it's actually a grocery bag that I divvy out snacks, because now, especially as they get older, they get a little greedy. And so I'm like, nope, you can have one bag of chips a day, right? Like, this is the Monday snack, Tuesday snack, Wednesday snack, Thursday snack, Friday snack. We're not about to eat up all the snacks on Monday, okay? Because if y'all run out of these snacks, you done for the week. So we all gonna look at each other like, what? Okay, because you had enough to have something each day of the week. So my kids know they got their little snack bags, that's where they can go get their stuff, or do whatever they need to do. Same within the refrigerator, so they have their little fruits and yogurts and things like that. And they love those little that has the little meat and cheese little snacky things or whatever. I forgot what those are called, Sargento or whatever. But anywho, like, just, I would make it easier on yourself. And again, this goes to planning. And these are skills that they need to start learning anyways, right? They need to start learning they don't need to have a stove on and be cooking nothing or whatever for a snack, but just have little easy things for them to kind of grab and be able to use and utilize.
And to buddy bump that, before we let y'all go, the last thing I think that is a great tool to have is to find or incorporate a support system. Because find other mothers, other people, caretake, whatever, that can understand where you're at or where you're going when the overwhelm happens. It's huge. It'll be huge. And there are more women out there, especially women. I know dads, y'all can have your dad group too. Do those things. Dad need that time too. I get it. But speaking as a woman, as a mother, like, there are more women out there who are like, I wish I had, than so don't feel like you're alone. Connect. I see so many on different like parent groups where chicks are going on and being like, this is my personal ad, and they're searching for friends. So don't be afraid to put out a personal ad of people in your area. Like, I mean, Dayna, Detroit is such this huge metropolis. I'm sure Dayna would have like 10,000 women be like, oh, I'm down, because they stressed out. Like, I know Arkansas, where you're at, is smaller, but that could be maybe a huge way, and could incorporate your business, just kind of putting that out there, where you're just like, look, who wants to get a mom's support group together, or, just meet up whenever we have those moments. Those are just huge ways for you to be a part of your community. So don't forget having support and giving yourself grace, because those are huge during new transitions, new routines, and just everything in general. All right, y'all, how are y'all feeling about back to school? What are your routines looking like? We would love to hear from you in the comments. Do not forget to go into the comments, click that YouTube channel link and subscribe. So just in case you miss anything live or you need to go back and watch an episode to write things down, whatever you need to do, they're all there. So click that, get that. We will see you here, same time, same place next week, Wednesday, 5 Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Until then, give yourself grace and have a great start to the school year.